On today's show, Heat assistant coach Caron Butler is here to talk about his new book, Clutch Time, Bam Adebayo's chances at winning Defensive Player of the Year, Jimmy Butler's approach to the season, and more. Let's jump in.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, we're here talking to Heat assistant coach Caron Butler about his new book, Clutch Time. He wrote it with co-author Justin A. Reynolds. And this week, they gave out free copies to hundreds of Miami-Dade students as part of the Books and Books Literary Foundation. Caron, thanks so much for coming on. You already wrote another book, Shot Clock. You obviously have your biography, also Tough Juice. But why was writing this second book as part of this series so important to you?
Well, one, my last dinner that I had with Kobe Bryant, we made a promise to each other that we was going to create a basketball universe of just literacy. And he was already doing that, and I was inspired by that. I was way behind the eight ball because I just had my memoir, Tough Juice, My Journey from the Streets to the NBA, and he just created like the Wizardnard series and everything. Fast forward to the children's book, I had characters in mind. I had the Butler Elite program that I was running in real time, which is now the Oasis Spring and Shot Clock and Clutch Time. And I was just like, man, I want to make like these stories come to life about young people and how to inspire. I just didn't know how to shape it yet. And I was just, with the tragic loss of him and Gigi and the seven others, like I was inspired to go down that path and just do it. I was like, I have to tell these stories. I have to do it. And once me and Justin went down the path of collaborating and doing it and getting in front of young people, it was the best thing I ever done because I saw the connection in real time.
It's an incredible story. I wasn't expecting Kobe Bryant to come into it, but I totally understand what you're saying. And I know that there are so many ways to reach young people, and that's obviously something that's important to you. You have such a huge platform, though, and I wonder, there's so many different mediums, so many different options to reach people these days. What is it about books, and specifically for you writing books? This is, like I said, your third one that make them a good medium for you to get your message across.
Well, I think it's important because I think I was told that young black and brown boys and girls did not enjoy reading. And that's a myth. That's not true. I think it's very important that the content that you put in front of them, that is something that they can relate to, that is messaging that they can take from and hold on to. It gives them a specific call to action on how to be better going forward in their life and somewhat of breadcrumbs of wisdom. So that's what we wanted to create. I have a large platform. I have pretty much a dream job for myself. I consider it a dream job, but it's a dream job in a lot of people's eyes. And a lot of people want to know, how did you get to this point? But also, I have a responsibility to maximize this platform in an amazing way to impact lives. So this is why I decided to tell stories. This is why I decided to use my platform in this way to unlock the next wave, the next generation of leaders.
Do you have, just at any point in your life, maybe a book that was handed to you, passed down to you, that you bought, anything like that, that really made an impact on you? And maybe there was a point in your life where you said, you know what, I kind of want to write one of these things.
Yeah, 100%. I think, well, it was part of the core curriculum when I was growing up, but it was The Outsiders. And at the time, The Outsiders did something to me, but it also did something for me. And the reason why I'm telling these stories now is because it was an amazing thing and it was something that I had to read, but I skimmed through it because it was a cool book. It was a little younger speed book, but I could relate to it, but I couldn't relate to it because I didn't see myself in it. Now, fast forward to the books that we create now from all walks of life, people, all different shades of color. You can see yourself in these books. And that was the beauty of doing it this way. I wanted to create books that everyone can be moved by and inspired by.
What was the reception like during the Books and Books Literary Foundation events? What kind of feedback have you been getting on Clutch Time and then on Shot Clock and some of the other things that you were working on?
Oh, it was massive. The turnout was massive. Books and Books. The school visits was incredible. Sitting down talking about the characters and the reason why we went down this path to write the books. It was extremely special. And like I said, that's the beauty of it. This is something that you wish and hope for when you're like on your vision board and processing the vision inside your head, but you just never know until you know. And once we start visiting these schools and getting on these platforms and connecting with real people, it was like, man, I wouldn't trade this for anything. This is a special feeling.
It's incredible. Just to go back to some of the books that have been part of your life also in your career and all these things. I know also Eric Spoelstra is a really big reader. I wonder, do you guys ever share books or ideas that come from books? Is that sort of a topic of conversation in the coaches room?
Always, Spo always share books with us. We have a staff retreat in Miami tomorrow. We'll be gone for 2 days together, and I'm pretty sure it'll be at least 3 to 4 books passed around, including Clutch Time. I always share books. One of the most powerful books I ever received was The 7 Daily Habits of Highly Effective People,
Yeah.
and it's true. And some of the best wisdom that I got was from my grandfather, where he said, when you're born, you look like your parents. When you die, you look like your habits. And
Mm,
habits are extremely important in your daily routine every day.
I hear you on that. My father gave me the seven habits, that same book. So I hear you on that one. Quick question. Do audiobooks count as having read a book if you listen to an audiobook?
Of course, because you had to receive that information, whether
Right.
you read it with your eyes or you listened through and heard it and retained the information. It's all about how you process stuff.
I do have a couple of basketball questions for you before we get to that, though. Just heat practice stories. That's become legendary over the years. What's a story that you have about something that you saw behind the scenes more recent and a more recent heat practice that kind of captures what a classic heat practice is all about?
You know what? Not a particular story that captures a classic Heat practice, but I would say what it is this competition at its highest level. Everything is 10x, and the one currency that don't give you an invoice is time. You don't know what that looked like. You just know that at some point it's going to run out, and that's why the books that we create is called Shot Clock and Clutch Time, because you just don't know what you're up against. And when we have practices, we know that we're going to compete. For that 75 minutes, 80 minutes that we're in the gym together, we're going to always compete at the highest level. Everything that we want to do from the coaches' meetings is going to be executed. We're going to be efficient. And the players have bought into that. And that's why we had a tremendous amount of success over the years. And the 35 years of the Miami Heat existence has been just remarkable because of, Pat Riley, the legendary Pat Riley laid down the groundwork many years ago. And, he passed the baton to Spo. And, Spo's has been doing a remarkable job, and he's just pouring into us as well. So we're learning under the best.
Are there any Heat players who are big readers or maybe would be Heat fans might be surprised to learn that they are big readers?
Yeah, I think, from Jimmy, Bam, they're definitely huge readers. Kevin Love as well, huge reader as well. And then, I just released the second book, and a lot of guys been, texting me like, hey, coach, make sure I get one of those. Make sure, like, so, the guys are really interested in reading. They wouldn't ask for it if they didn't genuinely mean it. So these guys are really interested in reading and just trying to get information from different areas to enhance what they got going on already.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. The football season is here. Tailgates, stadium food, cheering with your fellow fans. It's a great time to make some memories. And Game Time is the place to get your tickets to see your favorite team play. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time has a ton of great features that make it the best place to get your tickets. With Game Time Picks, curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more by toggling on all-in pricing. See the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. And with seat views, you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect. And with Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code Locked On, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Speaking of Bam, I mean, you've been there for so long of his run there. You joined the Heat staff in 2020, but how have you seen him grow? Obviously, he kind of takes the baton as the team captain last year, but how have you seen him grow from his rookie year to now, and kind of what are you expecting him from him next year?
No limits, no ceilings on anything he's capable of. Coming off an amazing summer, winning the second gold medal, and just coming off an all-star season and having an extended long vacation due to our early exit in the playoffs. I just know that he's eager to get back at it. We're all eager to get back at it, and we don't want to have a long summer like that ever again. So it's just something that we're all just ready and excited to get to. And I think Bam is going to take another step forward in his process. You already see from an offensive standpoint what he's doing. He's extended his range. He's working on his efficiency. And then also, just from a defensive standpoint, I already put that out there, but it's a crime to see that he hasn't been a defensive player of the year yet. And I think he's going to take another step forward with that challenge to take that as high priority.
What needs to be done, I guess, from that defensive player of the year standpoint, since you brought it up? Like, he's obviously this incredible defender. He's a finalist for this thing every year, it seems like, but hasn't obviously, to your point, won it yet. Like, is it something he needs to do? Is there like a perception problem with it? What do you think?
I think from a perception standpoint, a lot of the times when you talk about, for instance, a player that won multiple Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, you think about his impact and what the entire team from a defensive standpoint to be, top three in the entire league. You think about what he did at Utah as well. So some people may identify statistically from an analytical standpoint that he is the system. This is the impact that he has. But from the eye test, from a basketball standpoint, when I look at, and kudos to him for that, but from eye test, when I look at Bam, I see him guarding one through three, and then I see him 4 or 5, like guarding guys, shutting them down, making them burn calories, making every shot difficult from 1 through 5 easily. I'm like, that, you just don't see that in the league. You might see guys do it for a game, but he's doing it. He's going with the hard production offensively, and then he's doing it on the defensive end. I'm not being a homer. I'm just telling you the facts. Like, this is amazing just to see that from a player in this era. You just don't see two-way guys like that no more.
To your point, you almost don't even notice it. It's almost like Darrell Revis with the Jets, like Revis Island. You're just like, oh, wait, he's not even on the screen because nobody's throwing that way. So
Yeah.
you almost don't even notice it. Yeah. You mentioned Jimmy Butler there too. Obviously, when you hear Pat Riley publicly challenge Jimmy Butler to be more available, something like that, in his end of season press conference, how do you think that could impact Jimmy and his approach to the regular season?
I think Jimmy's just, ready to play basketball. He's a savvy vet. He comes with a lot of accolades, and I think at this point it's all about winning with him. We know he loves being in Miami. We love him being in Miami, and I just think that it's going to be a fun season. I'm just happy that there's so many people that, are kind of, kicking dirt on our name, and we remember all the messaging and everything. We have a elephant memory with all those things, and it's time for us just to get to work. We don't talk, we just get to work.
Why the Bahamas for training camp? I know it's not the first time you guys have done it, but considering that you guys have done it before, like, what do you get out of that as opposed to being, up the street in Boca Raton or something like that, like you guys were last summer?
Well, I think the connection is just a little different. Obviously in Boca, things like that, you get back isolated, you go back to your rooms after practices. We try to have like a lot of conventional stuff with events and stuff that pull guys back out of their room, and the camaraderie in the building that happens. But I think in the Bahamas, it's a little more just a connection thing. We go to the restaurants together as well, and we just vibe. So we're not on a retreat. We're not on a vacation. This is all about the team building and, getting a lot of work done.
Last thing for you. I mean, just you guys have so many interesting young players on the roster. Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, now Khalil Ware coming in, first round pick, not to mention some of the two-way guys and the other draft picks. But how excited is it to be working with that kind of group of young players, with that kind of talent who might have a chance to build a bridge to the next era of Heat basketball?
That's exactly what it is. The young talent that's building a bridge and, not rebuilding, just reloading. You got a wealth of talent that's coming in. You see it on full display in the summer league. Those guys was remarkable. And we have some young, hungry, up and coming stars that just want to be poured into and get better. So we're excited to be coaching them. Player development is going to be just off the charts this season for those guys, and we look forward to them being in the culture uniform.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Before I do let you go, can you please just tell our audience where they can find Clutch Time?
Yeah, you can go to Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, online. You can follow me on social media, Caron Butler, on Real Tough Juice, on Twitter, and the link is in my bio. Wherever you buy books, you can purchase Clutch Time and Shot Clock. So make sure you support. It is out today.
Today. And of course, let my audience know here that we will include links to the book in our show notes so that people can just sort of click on it there. But Caron, I won't be there in the Bahamas to talk with you, but I'll see you in preseason. Thanks for doing this, man.
Appreciate you.
Today's episode of Locked On Heat is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Motors, guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked On Heat. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Thanks again to Caron Butler for joining the show. Do us a huge favor if you haven't already, like and subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. Before we get out of here, a quick update on Terry Rozier and Nikola Jovic, who spoke to local reporters on a conference call on Wednesday to give an update on their injuries. We'll hit Terry Rozier first, then get to Nikola Jovic, and then some takeaways on what it is that they said. So Terry Rozier, he's been dealing with a neck injury that caused him to miss the last 11 games of the season. That included the last 4 games of the regular season, the 2 play-in games, and then the 5 games in Miami's first-round series loss to the Celtics. He said to reporters that he feels great. Here's the quote: "Where I'm at right now is just about fully cleared to play 5-on-5, but I am doing every on-court activity, playing a little bit of 3-on-3, so I figure in the next couple of weeks I'll be graduating to 5-on-5. I feel great." He goes on to say, "I'm a gamer. I'm a hooper. I think getting my wind up is the most important thing. But once we all come into camp together, just getting that full camp together is the most important thing. Not me trying to learn how to play 5-on-5 again. I'll be fine. I think it's just me getting with the other guys and getting on that level so we could play right away, play together," end quote. I got some takeaways on that. But before I do that, let's just hit the Nikola Jovic news. He sustained a left ankle and foot injury during a workout at the Heat's facility in June that nearly knocked him out of the Olympics. But he did play, helped Serbia, whatever. Serbia ended up winning a bronze medal. He was part of that team. But Nico said, quote, "It was not just a normal sprained ankle. It was a little fracture," end quote. That made me perk up my ears a little bit. It's not a normal sprained ankle. There's a fracture in there. He talks about some damage to a ligament. I'll go on, read the rest of the quote to you before I get to more of my takeaways. He said he's, quote, "almost fully healthy. Of course, there's a little ligament that still has to be 100%. They told me it would take a little bit more time, but it shouldn't be an issue. Basically, I'm 100%. He goes on and says, "We're making sure that my foot is good at every practice because the injury I had is, of course, not a joke. And we really don't want any new problems with it. If something starts hurting by any chance, I'll probably need to step away from training camp," he's talking about. "But I don't think that will be the case, and I'm really looking forward to being 100% and giving everything I have," end quote. All right, so takeaways. Let's get to them. Based on Jovic's comments, it sounds like he and the team are taking a cautious approach to the injury. And despite the fact that he's saying it's not a normal sprained ankle. There was some ligament damage, things like that. He had an MRI done. We saw photos of him in a walking boot when he was overseas. All of that said, I'm not as worried about that one as the Rozier thing, because I feel like there's been more transparency with the Nikola Jovic thing, weirdly enough. Maybe I should be more worried about it. Maybe the fact that it's not a normal sprained ankle, that there is some ligament damage, whatever that is, maybe that is a bigger deal. Maybe the fact that he isn't 100% should be made a bigger deal. But, I mean, he did play in the Olympics, and there was a fear that he was going to get knocked out of the Olympics altogether. So the fact that he was out there for Serbia over the summer, that he is putting in practices now, and that he feels like he'll be 100% for training camp, and that he's openly just saying, like, we're going to be really cautious with this. As much as you would love to be a part of training camp, it's not worth injuring yourself for. I don't know. I'm a little bit more optimistic, and I'm not, my alarm bells aren't going off as much with the Nikola Jovic thing, despite that quote that will probably end up making the rounds a little bit, at least on Heat Twitter. I'm more concerned about Terry Rozier. I'll tell you why. I don't like at all how this injury has played out. In April, they called it a neck strain. They were blaming it on the way that he was sleeping and then the travel, sort of the NBA grind. He just woke up wrong and he didn't feel right, and they held him out for a couple of games. And then further testing by the Heat's medical staff revealed some not so awesome results. They end up holding him out for the rest of the year. And then I remember asking Pat Riley in the end of season press conference for an update on Terry Rozier. And then it was then that he revealed, and this was not known before this, that he had actually been in a neck brace for a little bit. Look, he's not in a neck brace anymore, which is obviously good. But the fact that he was in it at all and we didn't know about it, that doesn't pass the sniff test. You know what I mean? It's not great, Bob. So, you got that going on here. Rozier said earlier in the summer that he was already playing 5-on-5 also. And now we hear from him that he'll be graduating to 5-on-5 soon. So what is it? Was he playing 5-on-5 before and couldn't do it? Did he never really get to 5-on-5, never really ramp up to that point, and now he's going to try to ramp up to that point? I don't know. I don't like it. Neck injuries, that's part of the spinal cord. That's always weird. You can never overlook that stuff. You can never take that stuff for granted and just assume, hey, this guy's going to make 100% of a return. He'll be 100% healthy, 100% what he was. I don't like any of that stuff. And like I said, it does not pass the sniff test to me, where it feels like we have a lot more transparency with the Nikola Jovic situation. It feels like we have almost nothing from Terry Rozier. And credit to Terry Rozier and the Heat for making him available to the local reporters on Wednesday. That's awesome. Maybe they're trying to provide some more transparency there. Maybe that's a sign that things are trending in the right direction, which obviously they are trending in a better direction. But it sounds like he'll be graduating to 5-on-5 soon. We're less than a month away from training camp, right? Media day is September 30th, and he's going to get some questions about this stuff, but we're not even on 5-on-5 yet. And training camp is 3 weeks away. So I just want to, what does soon mean? What does all this mean? I don't know that he's going to be ready for training camp. In other words, I hope he is. Obviously, I'm hoping for the best. But even if he's a little limited in training camp, here's the other part, and here's maybe the greater takeaway here, because for Terry Rozier, he's going to be competing for a starting spot, right? I don't think any starting spot is guaranteed outside of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. We talked on yesterday's episode about Nikola Jovic and his potential for being the starting power forward. I think he's got a pretty good chance at that. But the backcourt is very much in flux. Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero. Are the Heat sold on that backcourt? I'm not sure they are. Do they experiment with some other alignments there? Does Duncan Robinson maybe make a push to get in that starting lineup? Could Haywood Highsmith make a case to be playing as sort of this defensive-minded 3-and-D type of shooting guard next to a more traditional ball-handling point guard and Jimmy Butler? I think all of that stuff is definitely on the table. And if Terry Rozier is limited in training camp, that could slow his ability to get into the starting lineup, where obviously his rim pressure, his playmaking, all of these things are important. The shot making obviously is very important. So if the Heat get to a point where, and we don't know that they're going to get there yet, they'll figure all this out in training camp, but if they get to a point where they have to decide, okay, we only really want one of Terry Rozier or Tyler Hero in the starting lineup, which one is it going to be? It feels like Tyler Hero has the inside track just based on the fact that Rozier is not 100% healthy, and that from everything we understand, everything we know about Tyler Hero, he's been in the weight room, check his Instagram page, he's working out like crazy, all these things. He's going to be ready to go. This guy looks like he is ready to go in training camp. Now, it doesn't really make a difference to me which one starts if the Heat do end up picking one and they don't start. But they could just start both. That's totally that's totally in the equation. It might even be, if you had to bet on what the Heat starting five would be on opening night, that's probably the front runners, Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero both starting. But Rozier's injury status, his health, it could just throw a wrench in things. In other words, maybe that's the easier way to put it is you would have liked to have everybody healthy so you can make your most informed decision possible with everybody kind of giving it their all in training camp and competing for those jobs. But if Rozier is hurt, that could just change the calculus. It could just change the equation for Eric Spoelstra and the Heat staff in general when they're starting to evaluate these things. But look, again, awesome that they spoke to local reporters on Wednesday. More transparency, more talking to the media is always good, in my opinion. I don't make that much of a secret about that. So this was great that they did this. It's probably a sign that things are heading in the right direction. Overall, the tenor of the conversation was positive. It was optimistic. I'm not trying to raise alarms or clickbait or whatever, any of that stuff. I'm just trying to be honest about, when I read these things and I kind of read between the lines and how this all has played out so far. I just didn't love how it played out to this point, but hopefully everything will be better after this. But that'll do it for us today. Thanks again to Caron Butler for joining the show. Thanks to you for listening to today's episode, and thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app.